As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more.
I want to talk about Apple. Apple making maybe a huge move in the gaming space here. I don't know how much you guys are going to sort of take from this and draw some conclusions. But the headline here is Apple patents mobile gaming controllers for the iPhone and iPad. And I'll just show them here. I'll try and describe them because for those of you who are listening after the fact, after this is no longer live. I'm putting up on screen here a couple of images of different user interfaces and devices that would attach to an iPhone, to an iPad. I don't know why this is going by so quickly. Let me pause it. So you can sort of see little, I would best describe them as Nintendo Switch style controllers attaching what seems like magnetically, I don't know. It's not clear from the image here, but seems magnetically to the sides of an iPhone in both horizontal and portrait, like landscape and portrait, and to the sides of an iPad in portrait mode also. There's also figures of what seems like a Nintendo, like Super Nintendo style controller that flips out from the bottom or connects to the bottom of an iPhone horizontally and can be used essentially as a D-pad, analog controller, etc. Now, I assume these are all magnetically attached. That would be in line with Apple's sort of existing tech. But what the article here is saying is this is Apple, planning to make a bigger splash in mobile gaming. Obviously, a lot of people game on their iPhone. I'm curious what you guys make of these controller and these patent applications, which gives us a glimpse into maybe future products from Apple. But more specifically, I'd love if you could comment on how big of a threat do you think this is to something like a Nintendo Switch or a Steam Deck? Jeff, you have thoughts on this?
I don't think, like we always kind of come back to with the Switch, the Switch is all about Nintendo IP. So I don't think it's any way competitive or a threat to the Switch. Steam Deck, probably still no, because I think people were buying Steam Deck to play their kind of Steam library of PC games, and that's a little different than what you're going to play on the iPhone. But it's interesting. I see this as more of like a hardware play versus like some big revolutionary change of Apple. Like, hey, they're going to go buy like EA or Take-Two or something. Like they're going to like really get bigger in developing and publishing AAA content. I think it's much more of just like a hardware patent. We are seeing a lot more mobile FPSs, mobile games that are sort of higher fidelity. So games you might want to use a controller with. Mobile esports becoming a much bigger thing, much to Paul's chagrin. So I think it's them leaning into that and just putting a patent out there. Maybe they'll end up just licensing it out and like to like third party hardware providers that end up making the stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like a huge thing in my mind.
You said something there that I think is interesting. Do you think this won't be a first party Apple device at some point?
That was just my guess. I don't know what they normally do with hardware. It was just a complete guess.
Lindsay, any thoughts on this?
I hadn't seen the iPad, or I hadn't scrolled far enough to see the iPad schematic in this before, and that made me laugh.
But I thought that was the most interesting one. But if they're attached securely enough, in some ways that makes the iPad a really interesting potential mobile gaming device.
Yeah, for you who likes like 3,000 screens, I can't imagine like it's like standing on the metro and like my little iPad up.
Okay.
Anyways, Apple products are always interesting for me because They have such a cult following, so many network effects for a hardware company. Like, it's unbelievable. They tend to really make products that their audience loves. I mean, the AirPods alone sold more than a lot of extremely large companies last year. So if they're going to make a product, they're probably going to immediately have a huge audience to use said product. I don't know that that audience is going to necessarily compete with Switch or Steam Deck in the same way, because people will buy an Apple product because it's an Apple product, not because they are intentionally buying it to improve their gaming ability. So I don't necessarily think it will take away from other things, but that being said, I do think it will be a hit no matter what, because it's Apple.
I mean, sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I mean, Lindsay hit it on its head with that statement that because it's Apple, it'll be a hit. And that's also what annoys me about this. Like, I don't see it as a competitor to anyone other than someone like the Razer Kishi or those Bluetooth cheap, add-ons that Android phones use so well. I just can't remember the last time Apple truly innovated something new, because that used to be what they were known for, like the iPhone and the iPad. And you have like the HomePod, which wasn't really an innovation because Alexa and Google had theirs already out. You had the AirPods, which, okay, like we already had, Bluetooth headphones. You have this, which I'm not impressed by a lot of these. I've been wanting Apple to come out with this for years. It's like, what took them so long? That's my question when I see the story. It's finally, what took them so long to file for these patents and to start making something when Apple's had a pretty robust game store, especially because a lot of these games were limited. There wasn't a lot of crossover between Apple games and PC games. So they really put a lot of effort, I thought, into that. I remember, when you'd get your new Apple laptop and trying to find what games were compatible and just going crazy, as a gamer, really going crazy and snatching up all the ones I could play. So I don't know, I'm just not impressed by this. It's like several years too late, but unfortunately it will still do very, very well.
I don't know what's up with the last few weeks. I just think you're all totally wrong on this, like totally wrong. Let me just, I don't know. I can't believe I'm about to be the one defending mobile gaming here, but let me just read these comments first. 4X Esports says, more than impacting other handheld consoles, I see this affecting the iPhone peripheral manufacturers. Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, but Apple has never cared about, putting someone out of business with a first party accessory that copies some accessory that did the same thing before, right? Like, if they feel they can make money, they will have no problem cutting out their own peripheral manufacturers with a first party accessory. 4X Esports also says, what we may see if hidden in this patent, something more innovative, as this could be designed to shroud core features of a new product, or maybe they just want to use this to thwart add-on manufacturers. Yeah, also a great point, 4X. No way of knowing the purpose behind, or the thought process behind these patent applications. It could be just there's nothing specific planned and they're just protecting themselves so that, they can charge licensing fees to add-on manufacturers at some point. It could be that they have very specific plans and we just don't know about them yet. Like, impossible to conclude just from a patent filing what they actually want to do. I'm going to push back, Jimmy, on what you said a little bit, which is Apple has never been about innovating brand new products. What they've always been about is taking something that's been out for a couple of years and making it a lot easier and a lot better, right? And more refining products, never at the bleeding edge, right? Like Samsung did foldable phones. When we see a foldable phone from Apple, it'll never be day one. It'll always be once the technology is more refined and once the product experience is up to Apple levels. This to me is totally in line with that. And when I look at this, I go, wow, just at face value from the drawings, this seems a lot better than what's out there, or at least somewhat better than what's out there. These clunky things, that only have one connector. You got to stretch it out. If you have a slightly big phone, it doesn't work. If you have an Apple phone and your thing has a USB-C connector, well, you can't use it, right? This feels like if they're magnetic, they attach on, everything just works. I mean, this is the Apple playbook to a T. And I double down by saying, Apple gets who they are and gets their audience. And these drawings point to more casual games, right? And ease of use around casual games. And you pair that with Apple Arcade. Like, I could see a world where you buy these magnetic controllers, it's $100 and it comes with a month free of Apple Arcade, right? It's this kind of ecosystem integration that makes me believe if they do come out with something like this, it will be massively successful, not just because it's Apple, but because it's a good product tied to good software and a good user experience. And that's no accident. And I have a funny feeling all the other peripheral manufacturers should be worried that if Apple decides to go this way, because the product will be better. I love the potential for Apple to be, call it the third biggest console platform, or if not the first biggest console platform, really, if you want to think about it that way. Because I also think, like I said, they understand their target demographic. They're not trying to do mobile esports. They're all about, Apple Arcade, high quality experiences. And I like that purity of vision, if you want to call it that. Wow, I can't believe I'm the guy that defended mobile gaming here.